Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Diane Blake, and today we're going to be covering what I call my calendar book. This calendar book was something I created a long time ago, but it's taken me years to get to the point where it's mostly finished. I'm sure that I can have months and months more of fun with this book, and it's always nice to have a book that you can just keep going back to and having fun with. Now, this book was made with a 12 by 12 calendar, so it barely fits in frame here. So I may be having to scooch up and down to show it to you. It's covered with a beautiful cloth that I would use for pillows and stuff, and so it's got this beautiful pattern on it with flowers, and it's got some striping, so and it feels really nice. And it's got a nice dangle on it, and I'm still learning how to make dangles, but I don't think I did too bad a job on this one, because it's got lace and threads and ribbons and charms and all kinds of goodies on it. So really had fun making it, and it comes off and on, so I can just take it off like that, because I have kitties, and my kitties like to play with anything with dangles. So sometimes if my kitties are in the right mood, I just need to remove the dangle. So there's my dangle. And I hooked it on with, this is actually a hair clip, like a bobby pin. And so it's kind of cool to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm going to move that. And let's look inside. Now, I used calendar pages. This was one of the calendar pages that was in there. Color Your World with Beauty. And so it's kind of fun to use up your old calendars. I mean, once the dates are done, you need to have something you can deal with it. This art was by Wendy Bentley, who did the art on this. And so I want to make sure she gets credit, because it's in my book, but she did the art. Okay, so now each signature, I don't know if I can show you this, but if you look inside, here we go. There are rivets or eyelets that have gone through. And what I did was each 12 by 12 page, and you can't really see it now, but this is where the dates would have been. And I covered that with brown paper, brown craft paper. And then I took each page, so this is a whole page, and then you fold it up so it hooks to the next page, and then I used eyelets to hold each page together, and that's how I bound it, is by just riveting it together. Now each page had pockets in it, and this was a Christian calendar, so I can do all things through Him who gives me strength. And there's different artists that did this, but a lot of these are Susan Wingate. So just a beautiful, beautiful calendar, and with lots and lots of pages. Now, the nice thing I liked about this was I could do color schemes, and these tabs are not done. These are the spiral part that the calendar flipped up on. So I'm going to use those as tabs, but at some point I'm probably going to do something a little nicer than just the holes that were there from the spiral binding. But I can journal on here, I can add things in the pockets, and what I had intended was I created each of these little journals with crumpled up craft paper that I painted, and then I just took junk papers like old envelopes and different things like that, and was going to use each one of these to have a separate journal. And that worked until I got to the point where I actually used the journals, and what happened was they got really chubby. Those little journals got kind of chubby, and couldn't fit 12 of them in there anymore. Right now, in fact, the last few pockets are empty because I couldn't fit those journals in. So I'm going to probably have to put other stuff in there and not journals. But, you got to do what you got to do. So these are just the first two journals, and you can see they're getting kind of thick for one poor little book like that. So I'll just look through this real quick. So you can see some of the pages. They're just really pretty. I was poking stuff in to use in the journals, you know, empty pages to, yeah, my own art to stick in there. Some monoprints. That's Tyvek with some probably alcohol ink on it. It's just so old. Some of this stuff is old. And when you're doing art, you always give yourself some stuff that you can play with at some point. And then you can see I was color coordinating some of that stuff. So I got the green page, and then had some stuff where I stamped on it and used some perfect pearls. And then I actually had some just store-bought tags, just anything that matched. And so I was planning to just fill up these little journals with these different things. Each little journal having its own signature, single signature journals, and it's just, you know, fun stuff. These weren't even sewn together yet. So, and this, you know, I even made this little tile made from other little pieces of chipboard. So it's chipboard with chipboard on top and made into a little quilt design. So give yourself some fun things to stick in journals. And so that was part of the planning. And then, as you can see, I just started running out of room. So and then even some verses that I wanted to include, and even some tracing paper that I did some marbling with shaving cream. Yes, even shaving cream. Some more. And this is another Wendy Bentley, Plant a Tree and See Hope Bloom. So you can use your calendars in creative ways, and I always love to buy the beautiful calendars, so I don't want to waste them. So they have to last more than a year. Okay, so now let's look at a couple of the journals that I put in this calendar book. I call this the green journal because it's kind of green and blue. And this picture is from my piece of art that I had, and I scanned it and I cut it out, and so I could reuse some of my art. So think about that, reusing your art in other projects. And I've got another bobby pin holding this closed. I open this up, and you can see I started journaling. I got doodles. I doodled on top of the paper that was there. This was the original design. I just doodled over it. I even cut out a devotional and put some of my journaling on that had to do with that there. Little bits and pieces, little envelopes, flowers, tracing paper. So it's kind of a junk journal in that a lot of the stuff that I had is just stuff that, you know, some people wouldn't call it a true junk journal because there's actual craft paper or handmade papers and stuff. So it's not just junk from that you would throw away in the trash, but it comes close. It's stuff that is just a bunch of stuff that goes together or that doesn't go together. So I used tape that I had alcohol ink on to give a little blotch. Here's some little doodle. I love using my doodles. I love postage. I found it kind of cool that I found this. When God uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things. This was in a magazine, so I just took this and then I put a backing on it with a verse. And this looks like just a doodle, but that's the top of Kentucky Fried Chicken's head, Colonel Sanders' head, because it's a Kentucky Fried Chicken bag. So you can use anything for pockets. This is a store-bought image of a little kid because I like that. And it was about innocence, so I wanted that. Parts of envelopes, making my own envelope, and my own doodles, some of my art. Another piece of my art that I copied and put in here. You can have things that come out. Another pocket with some store-bought stuff and handmade stuff. This is some of my own handmade paper there. This is one of my pictures, my own art. This is some of my own art that I put in there. And this is some tracing paper, and I covered up a card with it and had some journaling, so it's a little more private that way. It doesn't just come screaming in your face. Miniature art is so lovely, and that's stamps. We got a tag with a doodle in it, of course. Another one of my pieces of art. This is store-bought, but I love that building architecture can be so pretty, and then with butterflies and birds and stuff, just makes it look neat. Another piece of my art that I shrunk down to use as a tag and put in here. Some more verses and devotionals, and another one of my doodles, and another tag. And a little bit of lace. I love to decorate paper, especially tracing paper. I don't know what's so cool about tracing paper except that crunchiness and see-throughness. So that was my green journal. Yep, put it on right side up, Diane. There we go. All right, now for my red journal. Okay, so I've got a little Running Man paper clip. Sometimes when you go to thrift stores or office supply stores, you can find some neat things. That's a little Running Man, but that holds this close. Another piece of my art. And some more. This was one of the older ones from 2015. I was watching my weight. Luckily, I've lost more weight than that, but I was actually keeping track of that in my journal. So you can keep track of anything in your journal. This is another one of my pieces of art. Lots of journaling entries here. I had a photograph that I worked from and drew that bird. I really love birds, and that sort of look like a feather to me, but it's actually just some yarn. Another doodle looks like a bunny to me. And this is tea-dyed paper. That was just graph paper, and just trying some different techniques. Blessed be your name, Jesus. Another bird. I really like this page. I like this bird and this tea-dyed paper. And just sort of, I don't know, just really like the look of that. Another piece of my art. It's shrunk down. For a while I was doing faces. I was creating faces using Pinterest dolls. I found dolls online, and I just thought, let's sort of draw them and turn them into little faces and give them names. So this one's named Molly. I had some others, like a Samantha and some others. This is another piece of my art. It was the first time I had, what was I using? I forget now. But it was the first time I had done that, and I forgot to put the feet on the bird, but he still looks cute, even without his feet. Used a tag from a purchase tag to use on top of a page. This is watercolor paper, and it's got a lot of texture to it because I put some gesso on it. And this is eco-dyed, so it's actually flower parts that are dyed into the page. And we've got some more store-bought stuff. And this is some washi tape. So this is just a hodgepodge of things. This was a drawing. It was a 10-minute sketch back in 2014. Just saw these 3 little kids with their faces, and they look so hopeful. I just had to draw them. This is an image put on paper towel I used to blot a tea bag. So You can even use, that is junk, when you blot something and it's something you should throw away, but as you can see, you can turn it into art. Never give up. Always use what you got. And if you can't find it, find something use for it now, you might find some use for it later. So anyway, that's 2 of the journals that got chunky before I finally just gave up trying to put them all in my calendar book. Well, I hope you were inspired by my calendar book, and that you too will use up your beautiful calendars that you probably have been saving and turn them into a new piece of art, at least a book. So anyway, if you have any questions, write down your comments. You can always press the like button and subscribe button if you want to follow me on YouTube. Thank you for your time. Bye.